Hello, Duke fans. Welcome in to the Duke Blue Devils Insider Podcast, your daily podcast for all things Duke Blue Devils athletics. We thank you so much for tuning in today, as well as every day, to get your latest on the Duke Blue Devils. My name is Hugh Strain, your daily host, as well as beat writer at Duke Blue Devils on SI. Happy today, as well as every day, to chat with you guys and give you the latest on the Duke Blue Devils. So we're going back to Duke versus North Carolina, the stunning upset that North Carolina pulled off in Chapel Hill over the Blue Devils, leaving Duke fans in agony. A game that will live forever in infamy in this rivalry's history, the best rivalry in college basketball, and really an instant classic. So as most fans around the country, most college basketball fans have seen, that game ended with a Seth Trimble buzzer-beating three to win it for the Tar Heels. Duke controlled the game almost the entirety of the way, held double-digit leads in both halves, and really just crumbled in the final 5 minutes. North Carolina eventually shrinks lead, ties it. Duke had an opportunity to take the lead with the clock winding down. Jon Scheyer elected to just essentially give Cameron Boozer an isolation opportunity on Henry Vasar. Boozer dribbled the clock out for the first 23 seconds of it, give or take. And then it was essentially just a one-on-one drive to the basket. Boozer's great at getting fouled. Obviously a fantastic finisher around the rim. Doesn't go Duke's way. No foul call. Boozer misses it. UNC one final play. Kick out three is Seth Trimble. He drills it. UNC wins 71-68. Duke falls to 21-2 on the season, 10-1 in league play. Its 10-game win streak snapped, and North Carolina improves to 19-4 overall in the season and 7-3 in ACC play. So Seth Trimble hits that shot, and as a very warranted reaction, and I think a cool part about college basketball, North Carolina fans stormed the court. When they actually stormed it twice, technically. So when Trimble hit the shot, the buzzer sounded, indicating the game was over. North Carolina fans stormed the court. The officials elected to put 0.4 seconds back on the clock. So they had to clear the court, get everybody off it, clean it up, dry it off, just to play out those 0.4 seconds. UNC fans then storm it again. So again, a very warranted reaction in college basketball, especially in the best rivalry in the sport when you win like that at home. Very warranted, and obviously it would have happened at a lot of different places. Court storming is a fairly hot topic around college basketball right now. Some people love it. Some people hate it. I think it's a cool thing. I think it's a cool aspect of college basketball and a cool scene for mainly students to be able to utilize. I think that's a special part about college basketball that you can't really do in many other sports. But one guy who does not like court storms is Duke head coach Jon Scheyer. So he opened his press conference after the game against North Carolina. If you watch yesterday's show, you know this already. He was very, very unhappy with the court storm, cited how he and the rest of his team and staff were not able to exit freely. Fans were kind of huddling around them, sort of going after the Duke team. Jon Scheyer says that punches were thrown at his staffers. There are videos of objects kind of being thrown at Duke's huddle as they're trying to get off. I have not seen any videos of punches being thrown or anything like that, any major violence like that. But there are videos of objects kind of being thrown in their huddle. But Jon Scheyer says that one of his staffers got punched in the face. Duke did not elect to reveal the identity of that staffer just for the sake of keeping it private. So Jon Scheyer opened his press conference after the loss to North Carolina saying, quote, "It's hard to talk about the game when I was most concerned for the safety of our players. I don't want to make it about that. But I got staff members that got punched in the face. That's not what this game is about. That was a scary ending." Again, Jon Scheyer is pretty passionate about court storming. He's been that way before, mainly because this is not his first time as a Duke head coach where he was put in a potentially dangerous situation because of a court storm. In 2024, Duke headed to Wake Forest to take on the Demon Deacons, fell in Winston-Salem. And as a result, Wake Forest fans, due to the massive upset, stormed the court. And former Duke forward Kyle Filipowski was actually hurt in the middle of that court storm. Not sure exactly what happened, but ankle and foot, something happened, and he was injured in that area, had to be helped off the floor, and then ended up causing him to miss some time, but was not healthy after that. And, it's frustrating for coaches, obviously, when your players are injured and they've already completed the game. You obviously never want to get injured in a situation like that. So again, court storming is a fantastic thing for college basketball, I think. I think it's fun. I think it's a really cool scene to watch, a really cool scene to be a part of. However, it draws the line when the opposing team is put in a potentially dangerous position, whereas Scheyer claims was the case against North Carolina. Again, have not seen any videos of punches being thrown but that is what is being alleged. John Shire actually updated the health of the staffer that was allegedly punched on the way out. He told the Field of 68 this morning, quote, "He had a bloody lip. He didn't know what happened. He got punched in the face and trampled, but he's doing better. He's fine." So that's where we stand with this. And as a result, the University of North Carolina has been fined $50,000 for the incident. This is according to ESPN. The ACC fined North Carolina $50,000 on Sunday, the result of the university violating, quote, "the league's event security policy" at the end of a chaotic win over rival Duke a night earlier in Chapel Hill. Now, this fine isn't unique to North Carolina. Its fans or students didn't do anything exceedingly wrong that violates rules that no other school has done. This has happened time and time again. The ACC has rules in place against court storming in general. Just the act of doing it, UNC fans and students did not do anything egregious to earn more fines. So North Carolina was fined $50,000 because it was its first offense of the season. More court storming will result in heftier fines. Also, according to ESPN, this fine will go to a conference scholarship fund for student athletes. So North Carolina fined $50,000 for the incident. UNC athletic director Bubba Cunningham actually made a statement after the game, sort of apologizing to Shire and the team, saying that, they have plans in place to make sure this doesn't happen. So this is Cunningham's statement after the game, quote, "When they rushed the court, a number of people got knocked over, but then we had to clear the court again. And so when we normally have something like just rushing the court and the game is over, we do have a line by the benches to get people out safely. So again, I apologize to coach, his family. Obviously, if somebody got injured, that's just really, really disappointing. But we'll do the best we can to make sure that doesn't happen." So Cunningham, apologizing to Shire and the team. And, it's a solid point that it was literally rushed twice. The course was rushed twice. Obviously, it's a very difficult thing to have to plan for. This is a statement from the University of North Carolina after the fine. Quote, "We accept the ACC's fine for having unauthorized people on the court before Duke, and the officials could completely clear off the floor on Saturday. The video we have confirms we followed our protocols to get Duke's players and bench personnel and the game officials off the floor safely. We will continue to review our protocols and provide the highest measures of safety in the event fans rush the court." So we talked about this on yesterday's show. Is court storming ever going to stop, even with fines, even with, things like this? It's probably never going to stop. It's incredibly difficult to physically stop it in the moment, but it's probably always going to happen. Sure, there'll be punishments, but in a situation like that, I very much think a court storm is warranted, but curious to see if, due to this incident, it's more of a topic. People are talking about it more, and just more folks around college basketball are making it a thing, because John Shire is very passionate about it in one way or another. That's where we stand on that. UNC has been fined. The case is, or not a case, but the situation is now over. And that's where we stand with that. So Duke and North Carolina can both move on. And it seems like Duke's staffer that was allegedly punched in the face is doing okay, regardless if it was a punch, whatever injury he might have had, and however he may have got it. It looks like he is doing okay, which is the important part. So where do we stand on the Duke Blue Devils in general after the loss? The loss actually didn't do really any damage to Duke's resume. Duke actually picked up a 10th quadrant 1 win. We talk about it on the shows all the time, but the net rankings constantly change. So it's, a team's resume is constantly changing. Duke has bounced between 1, 2, and 3 of the net rankings really every day for the last couple of weeks, and that'll continue to change. So Duke had 9 quadrant 1 wins before it played North Carolina. Duke now has 10 quadrant 1 wins. Duke is now 10-2 in quadrant 1. According to the current net rankings, no other team has more than 8 besides Michigan and Arizona have 8, but no other team has more than 8 besides the Blue Devils. Duke is 10-2 in quadrant 1, 13-2 across the first 2 quadrants, 11-0 at home, 7-1 in true road games. Duke is also 7-2 against AP ranked opponents. Blue Devils are currently number 3 in the NCAA net rankings. AP poll came out on Monday. Duke did not move, stayed at number 4 behind Arizona, Michigan, and Houston in that order. Iowa State to number 5. UConn drops 3 spots to number 6 following a loss to St. John's over the weekend. Duke still firmly in the mix for a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. It is a loss that is not going to do much to the Blue Devils in terms of a resume standpoint. It will be a tough pill to swallow given how they lose, how they lost, who they lost to, and in the fashion they did it when they controlled the game for almost the entirety of the way. That is going to do it for us here on the Duke Blue Devils Insider Podcast. Once again, we thank you so much for joining in today as well as every day to get your latest on the Duke Blue Devils. Make sure to check us out every day at si.com/college/Duke to get your latest on Duke athletics. My name is Hugh Strain, your daily host, as well as beat writer at Duke Blue Devils on SI. Thank you one more time, and I'll see you tomorrow.